Forget the jump scares. Forget the screeching violins and the shadowy figures in the window. To truly understand Alfred Hitchcock is to look past the surface-level theatrics of horror and suspense. What most people remember are the moments of shock, the sudden bursts of violence. But the real terror, the genius that makes his films crawl under your skin and stay there for decades, isn't in what you see. It's in the psychological architecture he builds around you, a prison for your own anxieties. Hitchcock wasn't just a filmmaker, he was a conductor of primordial dread, an artist who understood the invisible strings that control our deepest fears and pulled them with meticulous, almost cruel, precision. The scenes that truly haunt us are not just scary moments in a story, they are carefully engineered attacks on our fundamental assumptions about the world, our belief in safety, in justice, in order, and even in our own sanity. We are about to dissect 5 of these cinematic traps, not to rewatch them, but to understand the terrifying mechanism working behind the curtain. As we begin this descent into the master's mind, if you appreciate this kind of deep dive film analysis, this is the perfect moment to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It's a small click for you, but it tells us you want more content that goes beyond the surface and explores the true art of cinema. Your support makes these explorations possible. Let's begin with the most famous murder in film history, but not for the reasons you think. The shower scene in Psycho. The common analysis focuses on the brutal editing, the shocking violence, the killing of the film's apparent protagonist just 47 minutes in. But that's merely the weapon. The true wound Hitchcock inflicts is far deeper. Consider the context. Marion Crane is not just a thief on the run. At that moment, she has made a decision. She has done the math on the back of a newspaper, a quiet symbol of her conscience winning out. She has decided to return the money, to face the consequences, to redeem herself. In that motel room, Hitchcock gives us, the audience, a moment of profound relief and hope. The narrative is correcting itself. The good person who made a bad choice is about to make it right. The shower is not just a place to get clean, it is a baptism. A symbolic washing away of her sin before she begins her journey back to a moral life. And it is at this precise peak of hope, this exact moment of redemption, that Hitchcock chooses to strike. The attack is not just an assault on Marion Crane, it is an assault on the very concept of a second chance. The violence is chaotic, meaningless, and utterly nihilistic. It's a statement that your intentions don't matter, that your moral awakening is irrelevant in the face of a cold, indifferent universe. The horror is not the knife, it's the absolute annihilation of hope. He makes us believe in the possibility of redemption only to demonstrate its futility in the most brutal way imaginable. The final shot, the water circling the drain, mirroring the lifeless iris of Marion's eye, isn't just an artful transition. It's Hitchcock telling us that a human life, with all its struggles and moral quandaries, can be washed away as easily and meaninglessly as dirt. This is what haunts you. Not the silhouette behind the curtain, but the terrifying idea that your best intentions can be erased in an instant by pure, random chaos. From the horror of a chaotic universe, Hitchcock then turns the camera inward, exploring an even more intimate terror, the betrayal of one's own mind. In Vertigo, the horror is not an external force like Norman Bates. The monster is inside. The scene on the bell tower is a masterclass in psychological warfare against both the character and the audience. We are introduced to Scotty's acrophobia early on, but Hitchcock doesn't just tell us he's afraid of heights. He makes us experience it. Through the revolutionary dolly zoom, a technique now famously called the vertigo effect, he visually manifests a mental breakdown. As Scotty looks down, the foreground remains fixed while the background simultaneously recedes and expands. It's a physical impossibility, a warping of reality itself. The ground doesn't just look far away, it actively pulls away from him while the walls close in. It is the perfect visual metaphor for a panic attack, a moment where your senses lie to you, where the very fabric of the world you trust becomes unstable and hostile. The true horror of this scene is Scotty's powerlessness. He is trapped within his own malfunctioning psyche, forced to be a spectator to the tragedy he is desperate to prevent. He sees Madeline ascending, He hears her cries, but his body, his very perception, betrays him. He is frozen not by a killer, but by his own internal wiring. This is a far more insidious fear than the shower scene. While Psycho suggests the world is dangerously random, Vertigo suggests that you cannot even trust yourself to navigate it. The haunting element is the utter helplessness, the idea that at a critical moment, your own mind can become your worst enemy, a prison from which there is no escape. You are both the victim and the cage. This fear resonates because it taps into the quiet, universal dread of losing control, of our own bodies and minds failing us when we need them most. Hitchcock isn't just showing us a man with a phobia, he is showing us the fragility of our own sanity. If Vertigo shows us the prison of the mind, our next scene demonstrates the collapse of the very world outside that mind. In The Birds, Hitchcock removes the comfort of a human antagonist altogether. There is no motive to dissect, no psychology to understand. There is only the inexplicable, systematic rebellion of nature against humanity. The chosen scene is not one of the grand, chaotic attacks, but its insidious prelude, Melanie Daniels waiting outside the school. She sits on a bench, smoking a cigarette, the picture of modern, sophisticated calm. Behind her, on the jungle gym, a single crow lands. Then another. And another. Hitchcock refuses to use a dramatic score. There is no warning. There is only the quiet, mundane sound of reality, punctuated by the distant, innocent singing of schoolchildren. The horror is built through simple, agonizing arithmetic. We watch the crows accumulate, one by one, a creeping accumulation of silent dread. Melanie is oblivious, lost in her own thoughts, representing all of humanity, blissfully unaware of the fundamental rules of reality being rewritten just behind her back. The jungle gym, a symbol of childhood order and safety, slowly transforms into a living, breathing monument to impending chaos. When she finally turns, the reveal is not a jump scare. It is a moment of profound, existential shock. The sheer number of them, sitting in silent judgment, is a violation of natural law. This isn't just a flock, it's an army. The true terror of The Birds is the complete and utter demolition of reason. In Psycho, we can at least attempt to understand Norman's broken mind. In Vertigo, we can diagnose Scotty's phobia. But here, there is no diagnosis. The characters in the town diner try desperately to rationalize the events, to find a cause, to blame someone. They cannot accept that there is no why. It is an attack on the Enlightenment itself, on our species' arrogant belief that we can understand, categorize, and control the world around us. Hitchcock shows us that the natural order we depend on is a fragile, unspoken agreement, and when that agreement is broken, all of our science, logic, and civilization are rendered utterly meaningless. The haunting power of this scene is the cold, quiet revelation that the world does not need a reason to turn on you. What do you think is the most terrifying aspect of The Birds? The lack of reason, or something else entirely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear which scene from the Master of Suspense gets under your skin the most. From the incomprehensible chaos of nature, Hitchcock masterfully pivots to a terror that is deeply, uncomfortably human, and perhaps the most relatable of all, the horror of being seen. In Rear Window, the entire film is an exercise in sanctioned voyeurism. We are placed in the wheelchair alongside L.B. Jeffries, trapped, bored, and turning our gaze outwards to the lives of others. His neighbors' windows are framed like television screens or cinema projections. We, the audience, are complicit. We feel safe, anonymous, protected by the distance and the darkness of our own viewing position. We judge, we speculate, we are entertained by the dramas unfolding across the courtyard. The specific scene that weaponizes this against us is deceptively simple. It's the moment Lars Thorwald, the suspected murderer, finally looks back. Throughout the film, he has been an object of our study, a character in our story. But in one chilling glance across the dark courtyard, he ceases to be an object and becomes a subject. He looks directly at Jeffries, and by extension, directly at us. In that one look, the entire dynamic of the film is inverted. The watcher becomes the watched. The hunter becomes the prey. The invisible barrier that provided our sense of security is shattered. The horror isn't just that a killer now knows he's being observed. The horror is the sudden, terrifying self-awareness of our own actions. Hitchcock makes us feel the heat of that gaze. It is an accusation. Thorwald's look doesn't just say, "I see you," it says, "I know what you've been doing." All the power Jeffries, and the audience, thought he had was an illusion based on his anonymity. The moment that anonymity is gone, he is revealed for what he is, a vulnerable man, trapped in a chair, who has provoked a dangerous predator. The haunting genius of this moment is that Hitchcock turns the very act of watching a film into a source of terror. He isn't just looking at James Stewart, he is looking through the lens, through the screen, directly at you, the passive observer in the dark. He breaks the fourth wall of our comfort, implicating us in the voyeurism and making us feel the sudden, cold dread of being caught. And this brings us to the final, and perhaps most expansive, form of terror Hitchcock unleashes, the complete and total annihilation of safety in the world itself. If Rear Window teaches us the danger of looking, North by Northwest demonstrates the mortal peril of simply existing. The crop duster scene is not just an action sequence, it is a perfectly staged existential nightmare. Hitchcock's genius here is in his subversion of every horror trope. He gives us no darkness, no enclosed spaces, no creepy music. He gives us the exact opposite, a vast, empty, sun-drenched landscape under a clear blue sky. Roger Thornhill, the quintessential wrong man, stands alone in a place that should be benign, even beautiful. It is terror in broad daylight. The horror is built on a foundation of agonizing patience and absolute absurdity. Nothing happens for an excruciatingly long time. A car drives by. A bus stops. A man gets out. None of them are the threat. The tension builds not from action, but from the complete lack of it. This emptiness becomes profoundly hostile. There is nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. Thornhill, and by extension the audience, is completely, utterly exposed. When the plane finally appears, it is not a menacing bomber or a fighter jet. It is a crop duster, a tool of agriculture, a symbol of life and growth. Hitchcock perverts this mundane object into an instrument of relentless, impersonal death. The attack is illogical. It is inefficient. It is surreal. And that is precisely the point. The terror is not just the fear of being shot or blown up, it is the terror of being caught in a situation that makes no sense. The pilot is a faceless cipher. The motive is unknown to Thornhill. He is being hunted by a machine in an empty field for a reason he cannot comprehend. This scene is the culmination of all the fears we have explored. It has the meaningless, random violence of Psycho, the powerlessness of Vertigo, and the inexplicable hostility of the natural world from the birds. Hitchcock strips his protagonist, and us, of every possible defense, the anonymity of a crowd, the shelter of a building, the cover of darkness, and most terrifyingly, the comfort of a logical reason. It is a showcase for the horrifying idea that the universe does not have to play by any rules, and that at any moment, for no good reason at all, it can decide to erase you. These 5 scenes are not just memorable moments from classic films. They are a systematic deconstruction of the pillars that support our sanity. With Psycho, Hitchcock attacks our belief in redemption and cosmic justice, showing us a universe that is brutally indifferent. With Vertigo, he turns inward, attacking our trust in our own minds, demonstrating that our very perception can be a prison. With The Birds, he attacks our faith in reason and the natural order, revealing the thin veneer of civilization we hide behind. With Rear Window, he attacks the illusion of safety and observation, proving that the moment you look, you become a part of the horror. And finally, with North by Northwest, he attacks the very concept of a safe space, showing that even under a bright, open sky, a meaningless death can come for you. Alfred Hitchcock's true legacy, the thing that makes his work truly haunt you, is not the suspense. It is the insidious philosophical poison he injects directly into the viewer's subconscious. He was not just making thrillers, he was conducting a grand experiment on his audience, methodically identifying what we hold most dear: hope, sanity, reason, safety, identity, and then demonstrating, with cold, artistic precision, just how easily it can all be taken away. The chill you feel long after the credits roll is not the memory of a knife or a flock of birds. It is the quiet, newly planted suspicion that the world is not as safe, as rational, or as stable as you once believed. That is his final, brilliant, and terrifying trick. If this deep dive into the architecture of fear is the kind of content that you crave, the kind of analysis that changes how you see movies forever, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit that like button to let us know you want more journeys into the minds of cinema's greatest architects. Your support is what allows us to keep exploring the darkness on the edge of the frame.